Hi guys, welcome to the should I go part of the reading. What happens if I go or change paths part of the reading? In case anyone is just joining us and didn't see the first video posted today, that part is looking at what would happen if you stayed in a certain situation, and there's three piles just like there is in this one here. And this reading that you're in now is looking at what would happen if you go or change a certain situation, and these are the three piles for this one. So I'll give you some time to look at these piles here, see which one you're the most drawn to. But I just want to say that the two readings are supposed to be used in tandem with each other so that you can make a decision regarding whichever situation you have in mind, and you can choose your piles independently of each other to get the most specific message to you and get two pieces and two readings that you can compare to each other, and then hopefully make a decision to move forward if you feel called to, in whichever way you think is the best after watching the readings. So anyway, I'll start rambling. You can look at the cards here, and if you want to watch the other part of the reading, which is the should I stay portion, I'll post a link to it as well. So let's just give you some time to look without me talking. So if you chose this Seven of Swords cards here, this is going to be about what will happen if you choose to change paths or leave a certain situation. Obviously I've already filmed the should you stay part, so it'll be interesting to see if any of these messages link together in any sort of way. So let's see what comes out. I'm not going to read just based on one card right now, because since this is a reading exploring what you should do, I think it's important to have more context before I say either way what's going to happen. So let's just get on with it. I had an impression when I saw these first two cards, but I didn't really want to say it yet. But I feel like this combination has confirmed it. The message I was getting as I saw the Seven of Swords with the Devil and the Nine of Cups with it is, I feel like if you were to leave this situation or change paths, there would be resistance to it. There would be like, I don't mean forces in like supernatural forces, I mean like people, groups of people, one person. There would be people who would be very opposed to it and want to keep you stuck in it, and would not at all appreciate the idea of you leaving something behind or moving on. The reason I'm saying that is you have the Devil, who usually in the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck has like two people that he's keeping in chains. I mean, they can escape from those chains because they're kind of loose around the neck, but the point being he's trying to keep them stuck, keep them in a certain situation, not allow them to leave. Seven of Swords doesn't always have to mean people doing underhand things, but I feel in this context it does. It's like trying to manipulate a certain situation so that you don't leave it behind. So this is saying if you go, there probably will be attempts to stop you accessing your own happiness, fulfilling your own needs, and that could come in the form of, trying to keep you trapped via manipulation, underhand tactics. So this could be a relationship, but it could be a job, or it could be anything. I'll give you an example. Say if this was a job, it's like when you start talking to like colleagues or some people about that you're thinking of handing in your notice, okay? And then they start treating you in a certain way, being like, oh, but how will we do things without you? What how are we going to run without you here? Or even like a step up from the manipulation, which has personally happened to me. So I'm not just talking out of my backside. People do these things. When I wanted to leave one of the jobs that I had previously, and I went to hand in my notice, it's like they had never offered me a pay rise ever. It just hadn't happened. I'd been there for quite a few years, taken on extra responsibilities, and never been offered anything. The second that I went and handed in my resignation letter, basically my 2 weeks notice that I was going to leave, the next day they had, a meeting scheduled to be like, oh, we can offer you a bit more money now. I mean, the reason why that was shady was not only because they'd never offered me that money before, but without getting into too much detail, they had given me extra responsibilities that a good friend of mine who was a colleague had, and I knew how much money, she was making. And to get me to stay, they offered me more money, but not as much money as she used to make. So you see what I mean? It's not out of the goodness of their own heart that they're giving you like this new offer, this new opportunity. It's to keep you locked in place. It's to keep you stuck. It gives me that same kind of energy of, say, if you were trying to end a relationship and the person turns around, and again, this is not far-fetched, it can happen, the person turns around like, oh, you don't have to leave me, leave this romantic relationship. You can still live in this house. We can just, be separate, have separate lives. It's like they recognize that they can't, that you're about to go, so they're going to try and offer you something, even if it is not exactly what you want, to keep you there. It's a way of being like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to leave everything? Because it'd be so much easier if you just to stay and take this small pay rise, wouldn't it? You see what I mean? It's like not coming from a place of wanting you to do the best for you. It's coming from a place of, oh, it would be a real pain for me if that person fulfills their own desires, which is what this Nine of Cups is showing. So I'm going to try and manipulate them and tell them I'll give them something that I think they want so that they stay. So I feel like you'll come up against that if you try and leave, whatever the situation is. The reason I said the Ten of Cups with a death card confirmed that is, it's like here there's like a happy family unit, right? Everybody is happy, everybody is contributing, but then the death card is underneath it. There would be some kind of rupture in, it doesn't have to be specifically a family unit, but I am thinking a family. There would be some kind of break in this. I'm not saying a literal breakup, although it could be, but say if this was, an arrangement that you and your partner had in terms of like domestic life. It's like if you wanted to pursue this, there would be an end to that. For example, I'm trying to show it doesn't have to be the most dramatic thing in the world. It could be right now, like you, your wife, your husband, your partner, whoever, have an agreement that you take care of the child, take care of your own child on and pick them up from school on these set days of the week. Whereas if you took whatever this opportunity was, you wouldn't be able to do that anymore because maybe your office hours would coincide and clash. Maybe you would have a lot more work on your plate than usual, so the other person would have to take over some responsibilities in that regard. So maybe it's a thing of you wouldn't have time to have this like whole complete family image, and maybe that's why the Devil card and the Seven of Swords is coming out. I hope this isn't the case, but maybe it is for some of you. Maybe the other person in this partnership might try and guilt you a little bit, to be like, oh well, that's great that you want to, take this promotion, or that you want to open your own business, but what about our family? How are we going to do that? I don't think that that is a responsible thing to do. Do you see what I mean? Instead of trying to like sit down calmly and work out how you can make pursuing like a new position or a new job or a new project work, it's like they'll just try and drag you back into feeling guilty and manipulating you a little bit. So we'll carry on reading, but it looks like this path would make you happy if you were, to go and change and pursue something else instead. You would be personally fulfilled, but it would come at the cost of breaking something to do with an establishment or a family that's been built. That's what I'm seeing. But let's get two more cards on this and see what would happen if you change the path that you're on, or leave it behind. Oh, okay. I'll take that. Nine of Wands, yeah, you might feel overwhelmed for a little bit. beat down, kind of. You know, it's like having a lot of trials, tribulations, and feeling like it's not like you're demotivated, it's that you have just been through a lot and it's quite hard going and there's nobody around to help. I have a feeling I know which pile this is linked to, but I don't want to say it. It could be linked to any, but this gives me strong pile 1 vibes, but it doesn't have to be. The reason I split this reading into 2 separate videos and 2 separate readings is so that you could customise and personalise the message and not have, oh, you know, pile 1, this is what happens if you stay, this is what happens if you go. I wanted it to be mix and match, so don't take me saying this feels like pile 1 as, oh, well, if I didn't come from that pile in the should I stay reading, then it's incorrect. It's not. I'm just, if you're drawn to this, this is for you. I'm just saying if I had to put money on where most people have come from, I would say that one, but it doesn't mean everybody. So what would happen if pile 1 left the situation, changed paths? I'm going to clarify this card because overall I'm trying to work out if this kind of overcoming and outgrowing this manipulation is necessary. What I'm trying to say is if you put in all the effort to free yourself, to try and compromise, to try and pursue your own thing whilst also upsetting and making certain people act out, is it worth it in the end? Because what's the point in doing that if it's not worth it? I feel like it is because you have the 9 of Cups showing that you'll be very personally fulfilled, and also the Wheel of Fortune I think it's in your favour, but I just want to clarify the Wheel of Fortune card before I say for sure that it's in your favour. It is in your favour, but there is a small message in here. I really don't like delivering these kind of messages, to be honest, because it makes me a little bit sad. But I have to tell you how I see things, okay? So this 2 of Pentacles that first came out. Remember, I'm trying to figure out if you did everything, whether it would be in your favour, whether you would be happy, whether it's worth pursuing this if you choose to leave, whether you're just going to cause a lot of drama for a not great result. That's what I'm trying to work out, right? So we have the 2 of Pentacles, which is about balancing things, being able to juggle different responsibilities in this case, I would say. So it feels like, and then straight after it you have the 5 of Swords, which is a card where somebody has won, somebody has lost. Somebody feels like, you know, somebody feels like a winner, somebody feels like they've lost out, okay? So I get the feeling that this is saying, no matter how much you try and balance things out, if the person or the figure or the corporation or whatever it was that I was seeing up here with this Devil and 7 of Swords, they're always going to feel hard done by. It doesn't matter how well you try and balance things out. Doesn't matter how much you try and, you know, compromise with them, juggle the things that you have responsibilities for. They're always going to feel hard done by and always going to feel like, oh, this person, you know, took advantage or dropped everything or left me behind, even though that's not your intention at all. I can see that with the 2 of Pentacles, but they're always going to feel hard done by. That's the part that I didn't like delivering, because it does seem like with the 2 of Pentacles you're trying to juggle everything the best way you can, trying to make everybody happy basically, but I feel like this thing that is trying to stand in the way will never be happy with that 5 of Swords. They're always going to view things as, I'm either winning or I'm losing. This person is either agreeing with me and doing everything just how we did them and just as they were, or, you know, I've lost. They don't have they don't have the same ability to try and balance things out and to be flexible. They're either like, you're either with me or you're against me, that kind of energy, which I don't really like. But underneath all of, well, on top of all that, you have the Four of Wands. This signifies success and happiness and achieving goals. So it's like, despite all of those things, this is coming through on top. Maybe it's like, if you can ride out this energy, then yes, it will eventually be happy, but maybe initially it's going to be quite tough because you are trying to balance, but this person is not seeing it that way. But ultimately, it looks like it does work out in the end. But I have a very, very strong feeling there'll be a period where maybe they turn quite cold on you as well with the Five of Swords, and maybe you end up feeling, especially because if you look at this person who's clearly won, you know, not that there is a winner or a loser in most situations in life, but anyway, this person who is perceived by us and by this person to have won, they don't look very happy about this victory. They look still kind of upset about it. So it's like, you win, but at what cost? And I feel like it's saying that even though you might be successful and should be happy with that in leaving and pursuing a new path, there's a period of time where it doesn't feel that way. A period of time where you feel like, oh, I've upset this person, they're being strange with me, they are upset over what I did. Even though it was with good intentions, it's not like you left them behind completely, you were just trying to balance two or more demands there. But they don't see it that way. The good news though, because you have the Wheel of Fortune showing, you know, the person who's really sad and crying on this side, transforming and having like warmth and positive energy on the right hand side, and the Wheel of Fortune signifies the passing of time. I feel like it's saying if you can stick this out in time, things will be transformed and things will be happy, both at home and in your personal, professional life. But it is going to require a period of time that feels very difficult to deal with. So that's what I see for what will happen if you change path. I mean, there's already a small bit of advice here in that you just have to let time pass, let these wounds like calm down a bit, let this person realise that they've not lost everything by you trying to balance more than one thing in your life. You just have to ride it out, I guess. So with that in mind, I'm going to put these cards, at least these bottom cards, away, and then we will get some advice for what you should do if you choose to change path and leave the current situation behind. So let's see. Okay, let's get your advice cards. It's the same tiny cards from the last reading. So what's pile one's advice if they choose to leave the current situation behind or change something? Okay. Wow, this is interesting. I'm going to pull more cards, but my mind's just a little bit blown. Remember I said I feel like, although I could be wrong, if you chose pile one in this should I go reading, then most likely you might have chosen pile one in the should I stay reading. The exact same advice card came out in the exact same place. So that's why I'm even more sure that these two are linked. So if that's your pile from should I stay, I guess this is the follow-up. If not, well, then it's still your pile, but as I said, strong chance that it is. So yes, I'm going to give the exact same advice I gave in the last one with this card. It's talking about protecting and nurturing your idea and keeping it safe from outside forces. So if you choose to pursue this new path, you will have to be the one who puts a lot of time, attention and care to nurture it, keep it safe, don't let anybody come close to it. The same way people do when they're pregnant with a child, they, you know, eat right, try and avoid certain activities, and whilst the child is, after it's born, for a long time, when it starts its life, they're the one who has to provide care, look after it. So it's saying that in the same way that a mother provides nurture and care and protection to a child, you would have to do the same with your idea because of these opposing forces and opposing standpoints that are coming through. So for sure. Other thing is, yes, big changes would happen with the Tower card, but look, this person is like holding on to it. So this makes me think of like being the calm in the chaos, because the idea that I'm getting, especially based on this advice, is when you present the fact that you want to leave or change paths or do whatever to this person or this entity, they are going to cause chaos for a little bit. It was clear when I was reading these cards over here with the Five of Swords, where they were feeling like they've lost. They might act out a bit with the devil and start doing underhand things. You know, same chaos where you can see this tower like crumbling down, but you just have to stick it out, hold on to it, and stay stable and grounded throughout the chaos, and know that it's going to pass. Know that they're going to cause an earthquake, but it's going to pass eventually. So that's your other piece of advice. Whilst everything around you seems a bit chaotic, and maybe people's reactions seem a bit explosive, stay calm, don't react in a rash way yourself. Stay stable, basically. What else? Oh, this also makes me think, because this tower is being destroyed and this lady is like holding on to keep it together, maybe if people are trying to discredit or destroy your idea or the things that you want to pursue, maybe if people are talking them down, taking shots at you, you have to just hold on and keep it together. Don't let them destroy something that you want to build. Similar kind of energy to the protection I was feeling with the child and the mother. But yeah, this feels like if you're under attack, hold it together. Don't let people destroy, the dream that you're trying to build. I mean, it's a Nine of Cups again repeated, and this time it's advice. Yeah, this would make you very happy and very fulfilled. So it looks like, it's a good idea to pursue it despite the fact it's going to come under fire. You would be very happy and would be very fulfilled with that's guaranteed. So I think it's also to recognise how important your own fulfillment is in life, and that while it's great to have the Ten of Cups, it doesn't quite work if one person is not getting their desire. It's not a true Ten of Cups if only one person in an arrangement is happy and the other person is compromising everything for them. Personal satisfaction and making your own wishes come true is equally as important as Ten of Cups, I would say. We have the Judgment card here with the trumpet, and this makes me think of listening to your internal voice, like it's trying to tell you something. So listen. You can't just listen to all the outside chaos. Listen to this voice that tells you things, keeps you calm, and is very evolved and very like always there, like that part of you that can't be destroyed. Listen to it. Whilst everything around you is, trying to cause as much chaos, this will always be calm and stable inside of you. And the final one, Knight of Wands, be bold. This person is show jumping through a ring on fire with the horse. And Knight of Wands people can be a bit too aggressive and too passionate sometimes, but sometimes that's exactly what is needed in this case. You have to start taking risks, doing things that might seem crazy from an outside perspective, doing things that's not like tried and tested ground, acting in a way that some people might call a little bit reckless. But the fact that it's like a higher calling makes me feel like, it's not just a whim. You're not just following things that randomly came to you one day. It's like it's something that speaks to your like soul and how you are as a person. So with that in mind, you should chase them and pursue them passionately and with determination. So yeah, that's all I see. If you've not watched the other reading, go ahead and watch it and see if you can get a message for what would happen if you stay. But this is what I see in terms of what would happen if you go. So I'll leave it there. If you like these kind of out there and weird readings, please let me know. Leave me a comment or a like or something, and I'll try and make more of these harder to find unorthodox style readings. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one, or I'll see you in the other reading. Bye. So if you chose this world card here, this is going to be your reading about what will happen if you go or change the current situation. So with a reading like this, I don't think it's a good idea to just read from that one card alone, so let's get some more cards on the table before I say anything. Oh, okay. Now, I have an interesting take on this because initially the question I was asking in my head whilst I was shuffling the cards was what would happen if pile 2 decides to go? But from looking at the cards that have come out here, it looks like, I mean, obviously, make your own decisions and do whatever you please. I'm just reading what I see in front of me. But it feels like it's kind of inevitable that you make this choice to leave or to change something in the current situation, and it feels like you're putting off doing so. It's like there's only one good choice, and you know that leaving or changing something is the right choice, but there's an unwillingness to face that idea, I guess is what I'm saying. So the reason that I'm saying that is we have the Seven of Cups here, but it's reversed in this scenario. Usually this would represent having, a number of options, a number of paths available, a number of different ways of doing things open to you. But the fact it's in reverse tells me there isn't, there isn't a multitude of ways to do something in this situation. There isn't a ton of options. Then we have also to support that the Justice card here, which makes me feel like there's one right choice, there's one wrong choice. It's kind of like arbitrary like that. It's not like, oh, there's plenty of different ways you could do something and get a good result. It's like there really is only one good way to navigate this situation. I mean, I feel like as I'm saying this, you're probably already aware of what this is because the Queen of Cups tells me that intuitively you are able to feel this kind of the it's like you can feel what's right. Even if I presented to you a completely different idea, in your heart and in your soul, you'd be like, that's not right. There was only one option as well to you. And I feel like it's saying that in this case, leaving whatever it is behind in the past and starting afresh or changing something in the current situation is the only option in this case. Now, the reason I don't think you're looking at that is because of these two cards here. I feel like there's a recognition that leaving or changing the situation that you're asking about is the correct thing to do, and you already know that deep down with the Queen of Cups. So I wouldn't be surprised if you already are 100% sure of what I'm talking about, but maybe don't want to kind of admit to that fact, or maybe you wanted confirmation first, because you definitely can pick up on the need to change something for sure with this. But here's the interesting aspect. Both of these people in these two cards, the Four of Cups and the Two of Swords, if you look at them, both of them are kind of sat there and looking a bit in distress, and they're sat still for different reasons, but kind of in a similar energy. This person here is just, well, usually in the Four of Cups they don't look this kind of like they're contemplating. Usually in the Four of Cups the person looks more kind of just apathetic, but in this case it actually does look like they're a bit tired of thinking. So I'm thinking that that's representing one aspect of what's going on here, being uncomfortable with thinking this over, and it kind of already have weighed heavily on your mind in the past, so maybe that's the reason it's being ignored. And then here you have the Two of Swords, where this person is, sat here and not choosing anything. It's like they give themselves choices to avoid the correct, I say correct, the one that they feel is correct. It's sat here and trying to decide between these two swords when actually the answer is right here in what you feel and what you see represented by the ocean. And again, the Queen of Cups is someone who is residing in the ocean, and the ocean in this case representing feelings and intuitive ideas represented by water. So that's why I'm saying I feel like the right decision is to leave in this case. And I was asking what would happen if you leave, but the first thing that was emphasized was you already know that the situation that you're asking about can't continue the way it's continuing, and there's only one right choice to have. So really, I mean, I'm still going to ask again what will happen if you leave, but it feels like it was more important to stress that you already know that you should leave. What happens next, it can't be any worse than what's currently happening. And it feels like this is a big life lesson with the World card. It's not like a small choice, it's not like a small feat. Maybe this is also saying that from once you make this decision to leave or change something and commit to it, your whole world is going to change. The things that it's like opening up a new way of doing things, opening up a whole new path, a whole new world. So I am curious to find out what literally would happen if you did choose to change things or leave. How are things going to look? But the very first clear message is that it's necessary, and you already know that it's necessary. So whether you're trying to weigh up, oh, do I stay or do I go, it looks like this pile in this case is kind of being heavily, very, very heavily nudged towards leaving. Because how I intended for this reading was read what it looks like if you stay, read what it looks like if you go. You can compare the two readings, but in this case, you're getting a big hint to go. So I still think you should compare the readings, but it's just something to take on board. Now, let me just shuffle and try and find out what would actually happen if you left. Like, this is giving us an indication that you should, but what would actually happen if you did? So I'll do that now. Well, hold on, let me pick up the cards before I tell you. Just fix this. Straight out, first of all, is Six of Wands, card of success, card of accomplishment, card of, defeating all odds and winning something. So that's already a good sign for what would happen if you change situation. It would be very successful in whichever case. So maybe an example would be if you know that your current stint at a certain company is becoming untenable and you already feel that, you already feel the weight of it. It can be scary to move. You already know it's kind of the right thing though, because every day when you get up you're feeling more and more drained. It kind of feels like inevitable that you'll leave at some point, but taking that action is sometimes quite hard. But it's, here it's guaranteeing success in whatever you choose to do next in a new venture or a new company, a new role, whatever it is. So let's see a bit more. Yeah, it's time to expand as well. So, Three of Wands, especially in this case, he is like reaching up towards something. It makes me feel like it's a necessary evolution for you. This situation, there's nothing more to be had in it. There's no more growth. You can feel that as well, that it's kind of stunting you a bit, but if you were to leave it behind, Three of Wands, you would explore new territories, have new experiences, grow as a person. So I guess that's why the world was coming out to be like it's the next logical, the next step of your life that you would be opening yourself up to. It's like leaving the past behind and moving on to bigger, better things now that you're ready for it. So all in all, changing, as I said, looked inevitable here, but you're being guaranteed expansion, growth, and success. Which, what more could you want? Let's see. What's that? Wheel of Fortune, exactly. It's like everything's changing around you. You might be going from feeling kind of stuck and feeling kind of burned out. I mean, I'm relating this to a job. It can be anything. It can be, a pattern that you've been living in. It can be a relationship, it can be anything. But I'm just using job because it's the easiest example. It's like going from feeling burned out to feeling alive, inspired, like your fortune completely changing from what looks like kind of a stagnant and I wouldn't say dark, but just a place of not much growth to be had to a place where, everything is bright and you can grow as a person, do new things, and be happy and inspired and optimistic again and not be in this kind of burned out and kind of over energy. What was that? Let's see. Four of Wands. Wow, I mean, every single card coming out is very, very positive. Four of Wands, you will celebrate meeting certain goals. You'll be very happy, feeling alive. Like having a reason to celebrate is what I'm picking up from this Four of Wands. The other thing I'm noticing here is you have a ton of Wands cards, six of Wands, three of Wands, four of Wands. And Wands cards represent, in some cases, and in a simplified version, it's like a passion for life, like that excited energy, that motivated energy, switched on. So I'm seeing that if you were to leave, you would feel fired up again and enthusiastic again. Coming out of, where you were feeling very stuck, this is the opposite. Feeling like you have a purpose is basically the idea of it. Feeling like, oh, whereas here it's like a struggle to get up in the morning because, the situation is difficult and not fulfilling. It's like here being excited to do certain jobs and, you know, looking forward to and being inspired again is what I'm picking up with all these wands cards coming out, which is really nice. And I guess that's why the Wheel of Fortune was shown, going from kind of this like dark grey colours to this like fiery gold, orange, red, because it's like a relighting, a reawakening of getting your fire back, getting your mojo back, as some people say. So what's the final thing to point out if you were to leave or change the situation? What does it look like? Oh my gosh, so many cards. Which one shall we take? Are we gonna do all of them? I'll do all of them. So this little combo here, we have the Six of Swords, the King of Wands, and the Empress. And to read all of these together, I see Six of Swords is telling me that your mind will be much more at peace. You'll be leaving behind a place, like a job, a relationship, whatever it is, that was kind of turbulent and chaotic and was really draining you and wearing you down and causing you to feel this way, and going somewhere much more calm that allows you to express a lot more of this like enthusiasm because the situation, the surroundings are calmer. You can be more excited without it turning into, what I'm trying to say is if you're in a calmer place, then you can express like motivated and fired up energy in a healthy way. It doesn't turn into like arguments. You don't have to subdue yourself anymore. If you have a strong idea or a strong passion about something, if you're in a place that's calm, then it's safe to express that. Whereas sometimes, even if you're a very passionate person and you're in a place that's chaotic and turbulent, it can cause friction amongst other people, is what I'm getting at. So, in this new role, this new relationship, this new project, it's safe for you to express, King of Wands, your leadership abilities, your like strong personality, your way of doing things differently with the King of Wands. I see that if you changed, you would be. I'm not trying to like predict like a job title or anything like that, but you would be in a kind of leadership position, be this with other people or be this starting your own company, but or starting your own project, because the King of Wands is someone who's like seen as a visionary, somebody who has like an entrepreneurial spirit, who does things in their own way. So I see you having a lot more freedom and a lot more ideas and opportunity to do things and make your own mark rather than do things the way that other people would. And the Empress, I mean, she's surrounded by all the beauty in the world. So, whereas here it's like grey skies and storms, it's like moving into a situation where you get everything you want and everything just looks bright. and you'd be able to create like something totally of yours. So it could be a business the Empress, because the Empress is about creating new things. So it could be something like a new enterprise, a new business, a new idea, but something that will be totally yours. Because usually the Empress is pregnant on the card, so the same way that a mother has created life, from herself, it's saying that if you were to change situation or leave this behind, you would be able to create something for yourself that would be very, very successful and bring you a lot of happiness. So in this pile, I think the choice is kind of obvious. Kind of no matter what you chose in the first reading, in the stay reading, it looks like, I mean, there is no negative cards in what would happen, and you already feel intuitively that you should change things up. So I don't think there's a clearer answer than that. What we will do though, just because, changing and leaving things behind can be a little bit scary, even if you are guaranteed certain successes. So what I'll do is we'll pull some advice cards for you going ahead to see what advice there is for why you change paths. So any advice for pile two on changing their path? Oh, the Empress again. There she is. Now, these cards are so tiny, so I'm hoping you can still see the details. I'll try and zoom in a second once I've got them all out. So we have the Empress. So I think this is talking about this one does have like the baby in it. You can see that she's pregnant, and it's being covered in like beautiful flowers and everything, but the baby's here in the center. So I think this is talking about protecting your idea and allowing it to grow in the early stages. So while you change path, hold on to certain ideas or beliefs that you have, because in time they will develop and they will come out and cause a lot of success and joy. But right now, while you're changing the path, keep them cooking. Basically, they'll be useful to you in the future. Eight of Swords, you have to free yourself from whatever this other situation is. It's showing that you're stuck in a cage with these beautiful kind of like, they look like birds' wings, but we could say angel wings too. But this cage is open, you can come out, so it looks like whatever the current situation you're in is really trapping you and really stopping you from living the way you're supposed to, stopping you being free, stopping you exploring. It's keeping you trapped, but there is a way out. So I guess the way out in this case would be changing things and making a decision to leave this behind, because it looks like the current situation is just holding you like in a cage when you're supposed to evolve and fly and do all these things. So don't stay stuck, I guess is what I'm saying. High Priestess. Here we can see the water again. We were talking about the water imagery here with the Queen of Cups, and under here with the Two of Swords, and here you can see the ship on the water, and she's pulling back the curtain. So I think it's telling you if you're to follow your emotions and follow your like intuitive thoughts, the way you think you should do things, don't think about it too hard, because you'll be led. If you just follow what feels right to you, you'll be led to the right destination. So don't overthink it. You've got the Nine of Cups on top of the Nine of Swords here. I feel like this is saying to recognise that it's not normal to always be in Nine of Swords energy, which would be anxiety, feeling like everybody's. This Nine of Swords has loads of eyes all over the person, so I can't help but feel like this person feels like they're being watched, maybe being judged, maybe being, everybody talking about them behind their back in not a very nice way. But even if that's not the case, I feel like the Nine of Swords is saying it's not normal to feel this amount of stress and this amount of worry. It's not something that you should just shoulder for the rest of your life. You're entitled to feel, like a Nine of Cups, joy, happiness, personal satisfaction, all of those things. You're supposed to be in the total opposite energy of Nine of Swords, which is feeling worried and having sleepless nights about things. You're meant to enjoy your life and you're meant to feel personally satisfied. So always remember that navigating every single day from fear and anxiety is not just not normal, but it's not what is needed here. It's not what you should be doing. So whatever it takes to change that around and get yourself back into Nine of Cups, remember that always. Don't think that it's necessary to, or it's in any way destined for you to always be anxious and worried about something. You don't have to. And the final one, yeah, exactly, is the Three of Cups. This card is showing like joy and play and fun, especially with other people. So I get the sense that it's telling you that, you're supposed to, as I was reading here, that you're supposed to have personal satisfaction. You're also supposed to have fun and just light-hearted times. It's not always supposed to be heavy and difficult. You shouldn't be trapped feeling like you can't have fun and that it's your personal responsibility to sit here and worry about something. It's a right for every person to have fun and be joyful and play and, see their friends and anything like that. So I think it's talking about getting yourself out of a cage that is causing a lot of suffering and admitting to yourself and recognising that happiness and personal satisfaction are important no matter what form they take. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to leave this reading here. I think we got everything that we needed to say, and I hope you enjoyed. If this helped, give me a like if you like readings of this nature, which are a little bit more untraditional, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hi guys, so if you chose this hanged man here, this is going to be your reading about what would happen if you left or changed the situation you're currently in. So, as I've explained, I don't want to read just from one card for this reading, so let's start straight away. Okay, and the card came out straight away, let's go for it. So what will happen if pile 3 left or changed the current situation? Show me how it would look. Do I want all of these? There's too many there, we'll just take that one for now. So we had a very small mishap. Let me just explain, you didn't miss much. I went to take a drink and I forgot to restart recording when I came back, but literally all that happened is I didn't say anything, didn't add anything new. I picked up the deck and, shuffled a few times, then all 3 of these cards fell out together, so I just had to rearrange the space slightly. So you didn't miss anything, that's all that happened. So let's just pretend that you saw me shuffle these and I'll just read it as normal. So what will happen if you leave? I get the sense that at the moment there's a feeling of being stuck in something with the Hanged Man here, highlighting that maybe the current situation is keeping you tied down, especially with this Hanged Man, because if you look, there's all like entangles in this seaweed, I guess. So it feels like something is keeping you tied down and keeping you stuck. And if you were to leave or change that situation, there would be a lot more freedom and like a total new start as well with the Fool card. So let me get some more details for you. Let me think about this a second, but that's the first initial impression I got. I get the sense, and I could be wrong on this, so bear with me, that you're keeping yourself stuck for some reason. I don't know why. Because you have the Eight of Cups here, which is representative of walking away from something and like walking away from the old and moving out into building something completely new, so leaving the old behind. And the Fool card, as I said here, is also signifying like a whole new start and a more optimistic and bright new start with the Sun card being next to it. So something that's so happy and much more aligned, definitely I can see that here. Now, the reason I'm saying you're keeping yourself stuck is I feel like you're represented by this Queen of Wands. Let me show you her. I really like this Queen of Wands. So, a Queen of Wands is somebody who is very full of life, very bright, very warm, charismatic, very spirited, very upbeat. These are the kind of people who like have their own style, who do things their own way. Very magnetic. You can't help but be drawn to these kind of people. They're also very, very confident. Um, I really like Queen of Wands people. I have a soft spot for them because the way they do things, they have kind of their own not just style, it's deeper than that. They have their own values, their own beliefs, and they are very warm and welcoming people, but they can't be like shifted on those things. They give me like eccentric slash fun ant vibe kind of people. If you know what I mean, even if they say something completely outlandish, you can't help but be really drawn to these kind of people because they have so much life in them, they're so interesting and spirited. So that's the kind of people that Queen of Wands are. So I feel like you're being represented by this Queen of Wands. And maybe in the past you were kind of that way, but it feels like you've tied yourself up into something and aren't allowing this part of your nature to come out. It feels like maybe this aspect got you into trouble in the past, or maybe you feel like some people don't value it or don't respond to it well. So because of that, it's like keeping it underwater and locked away and, like tied up so it can't be freed. So I feel like maybe you're currently living in a way that's not true to who you are. So this reading is saying if you change paths, you'll be a Queen of Wands once more. You'll be able to live in that kind of energy that's very natural to you and be charismatic and dynamic and full of life again. Three of Cups, this represents like being joyful, having fun with people, like a party kind of atmosphere almost. So I feel like the current thing that you're keeping yourself stuck in is very heavy. With the Eight of Cups being here, it's something that you're emotionally tied to, I would say, and to leave it behind would be akin to knocking over all these cups. It would be akin to, leaving behind something even though emotionally you're tied to it, but maybe even though you're emotionally tied to it, it's draining your Queen of Wands nature, and it's not making you happy and not making you upbeat anymore with the Sun and the Three of Cups card being shown here as what would happen if you changed paths. So I feel like the reason you're not changing paths at the moment is because you're just emotionally involved with this. So an example would be a relationship that's not the best for you because you have to kind of subdue your Queen of Wands nature in order to make the other person happy, but you have feelings toward this other person, so that's the reason why you do this. But at the same time, if you're asking if you should leave something behind, it means you already have the inkling that everything is not good, because if you didn't think that, you wouldn't ask the question. To this degree, I mean, obviously it's normal to have some kind of small doubts, but to be seriously considering it means that all is not well. So I feel like you would feel so much more free and able to do what you want and carve out your own path if you were to leave this behind with the Fool card. This doesn't have to be like a romantic relationship, it could be just moving away from people who keep you contained, or even a job that makes you unable to display this part of your personality because it's quite serious and professional at all times. So I don't want you to think it's just strictly about relationships. It's talking about anything that you have to kind of dampen yourself down to fit in or to make work, basically. Whereas if you were to move to something that allowed you to shine and express this Queen of Wands, it would actually be a benefit, and you would feel so much more relieved and so much happier going forwards and have a lot more freedom to do whatever you wanted to do with the Fool card. Now, the card that I'm staring at here is the Seven of Swords. I can't decide whether this is talking about... Actually, I was about to get a clarification card, but I don't need it. I think this is highlighting you hiding your inner Queen of Wands spirit. This is you, because the Seven of Swords, this guy's hiding behind a tree and he's hiding all these swords. I think this is talking about you hiding who you are And that doesn't have to be like a conscious deceptive thing, like, oh, I'm not going to show these people because I'm going to fool them all so that they like me. It can just be over time. You might have learned from reading people's reactions that displaying certain behaviours are not beneficial to you, so you stop doing them. For example, if you were quite an outspoken person, there might have come a time where, you know, you expressed an opinion of yours that was quite unexpected or quite controversial. And I don't mean like in a way that would hurt people, I just mean maybe you said something that was a bit crazy, and usually people like that about a Queen of Wands person. They're always quite fun to hang around with. But maybe in this scenario, you might have got an email like saying that you're in trouble for it, or people might have responded in a way where they were like, what did you just say? So it's like over time you just learn to, I'll just keep my mouth shut, I'll just be quiet. So I think this Seven of Swords is talking about the fact that I was mentioning here, that you've locked away this part of yourself and hidden it, and you know, won't show it to anybody at the moment. So it's telling me that it's not that it's gone, it's not that you've lost it, it's just being hidden on purpose. And you know, hiding who you are is not ever going to work out well in the long run, because at the end of the day you can't help the kind of person you are, and if you don't express who you are or live in alignment with that, it's always going to cause friction and tension. So I understand why there's a split here, because there's, you know, your own personal happiness versus a situation that you're emotionally invested in. So I think it's easy for me to say, oh, leave it behind, you'll be so much happier with the Sun card and so much freer with the Fool. But I understand why that might be potentially difficult. So I think it's clear what the cards are showing here. They're showing that if you do leave the current situation behind, you would feel a lot lighter, a lot freer, a lot more optimistic, a lot happier, and a lot less weighed down by these emotional ties and baggages you've accumulated. I think it's also saying that you would meet people who enjoyed you for who you are, because this, I forgot to mention, this Three of Cups also has, like, you know, three people on the card socializing with each other, having fun with each other. So maybe it's saying you would actually meet people who celebrated this aspect of yourself and enjoyed being around you, had a lot of fun with you. They wouldn't want to change who you were. They would actually really, really enjoy your company. Like, these people are having a great time together, all kind of on the same page. So I think this is reassurance that if you were to leave behind this situation, which, you know, you've had to bind certain aspects to get along well in or to fit in, you wouldn't have to do that any longer. And it's not just like these people would accept you and be like, oh, that's just how that person is, that's, you know, we just accept it. They would actually really celebrate it and love it, I can see with the Three of Cups. So that's also positive. So that's your answer with regards to what would happen if you left things behind and changed path. A much more fulfilling, happy and free experience with where people celebrate you and is more in line with who you are. You could be yourself again, feel alive again, be more confident once more, because I feel like the Hanged Man is also showing that you've lost confidence, because Hanged Man kind of energy can be stuck not making decisions, you know, staying in limbo. And maybe you used to be a very decisive person with the Queen of Wands, but at the moment everything feels kind of stuck in limbo, like you can't make a decision A or B. It turns into just sitting still and waiting around. It's like you're not motivated and decisive anymore. That part has been lost. Well, it's hidden, not lost. So I feel like it's also saying you would take charge and be in control and more confident and have more faith. And I feel like this is a bit cheesy, so I apologise in advance. The Queen of Wands makes me think of, well, as people who really enjoy life and, you know, enjoy it and recognise that the bad or the unpleasant aspects are part of what makes life fulfilling when it's good. And the Sun card is also reinforcing this idea for me that you would see the beauty in life once more. Maybe at the minute you're not able to see much because you're trapped, you know. This is underwater, so that's all dark. You can't really see much if you're on the ocean floor stuck. It's just darkness all around. But this is talking about if you were to change path, you would move back into the light once more and be motivated and the kind of person who is like, oh, isn't life wonderful? As cheesy as those kind of people are, but I feel like it's saying that you would once more recognise the beauty of life and thrive in that, which is a nice position to be in. Even if I'm calling it cheesy, I think it's a good thing. So let me just get some cards for you now for advice if you choose to follow this Queen of Wands path here. So let's get some advice finally. I see one of my favourite cards in this deck, which is the King of Wands right there. So the first piece of advice is this drum is on fire and this King of Wands is, about to play it. And this strongly makes me think of the phrase of, what is it? March to the beat of your own drum. Do things how you think, doesn't matter what other people are doing. You move ahead strongly with things that motivate you, things that light you up inside, and you have to do things in a unique way. What I'm trying to say is the advice here is to not follow anybody else's path and to not think that something is too ridiculous or too outlandish. March to the beat of your own drum, celebrate your individuality, doesn't matter what other people think. Oh, okay. So many cards. So here we have the Queen of Swords, but in this one she has like a, what do you call it? It's not a telescope. Oh, it's a handheld telescope, I think. It's talking about, in this case, I'm seeing it as expanding your vision, looking past certain things, daring to see like further into the future, further on the horizon, not seeing things in a small way, expanding how you view things, not shutting things down because they seem impossible or improbable. It's like looking outside of your usual field of view, seeing things in a different way with the Queen of Swords. And I just got the message of like dreaming big. That's what I was feeling when I was seeing her, looking really far out with the telescope. It's like aim big, definitely, and don't shut down or limit your vision as to what is possible. Then we have the Three of Pentacles telling me that this might take a little bit of work. You have this little girl here with these birds who are building this flower, so I feel like because maybe Eight of Cups, as I would say, you're emotionally involved in whatever the situation is, it might take a little bit of work and patience and maybe working with other people, I'm not sure, or working with different aspects of yourself to build something totally of your own creation, totally new. It's not going to happen overnight, I think is what it's saying. Hence why you need to keep looking forwards, don't look backwards, keep looking to the future and keep building. But it does show that with time things will come together because this flower is pretty much nearly finished. They're waiting for the last few blocks. Oh, something turned over in there. What is it? Queen of Cups. Okay, I'll just get one more and then we'll read that. Okay, what was that? And that's the Knight of Pentacles. This Knight of Pentacles is going along with this Three of Pentacles about being consistent and keep pushing on, keep moving ahead in small stages. Being a Queen of Wands naturally, you might have a tendency to get impatient when you don't see a result straight away or when things are more difficult than you envisioned. But the Three of Pentacles and Knight of Pentacles are making me think that small progress is necessary here, small steps to move away from this situation, if that's what you choose to do, small steps to build your own vision. Don't get burned out or get impatient or get disheartened because it doesn't happen overnight, and whatever this alternate path is might take a while to unfold. You just have to be diligent and keep committing to moving forwards and not acting in like an angry way and looking back and being like, oh, it was all for nothing because I don't have anything to show for it. You'll get your you'll get your, I mean, you have to start again as the fool, basically. You have to, even though the fool has freedom, they still have to learn some lessons to move forwards. So it is a process that will take a bit of time, but I think it's worth it if you're able to build or be involved in something that ultimately is of your vision and is aligned with you and speaks to who you are with the King of Wands. Because the King of Wands is a person who is a bit of a visionary. So I think this is saying you are supposed to live in alignment with your own vision, but it might take a little bit of planning, a little bit of patience, and just having to be quite diligent and dedicated to get it to show up in the world. Now, just looking at this Queen of Cups, give me a second. I just want to pull one more card on this. I feel like it's telling you to not ignore your emotions, but I don't know why, so let me see if I can figure it out. Why the Queen of Cups then? Now you have the Six of Cups here, and this person is like looking at these little childhood figures. So maybe it's talking about not losing your emotions fully, or maybe there's like a specific feeling from your childhood that you need to tap into to make this move forward. Maybe this path is something you always enjoyed since childhood, potentially, and that's what you're supposed to do going forwards. If this was about work, if it was about a relationship, maybe there's a certain figure in your life from your childhood where you have to remember how they made you feel to recognise like what a happy relationship or happy platonic friendship looks like in order to get you out of this one where you can't be who you are. So there's something about this an emotion from your childhood that you should tap into and recognise that would teach you a lot going forwards, I would say. So an example would be when I was a child, my grandparents always celebrated who I was. I was quite a strange kid, believe it or not. And they would never, shame me for any of those things. They would encourage my imagination. I used to love to sing when I was a kid. I wasn't a very good singer, but I used to love it anyway. And they would, put on ask me to put on little performances for them. They would like turn off the television, turn off all the distractions, and listen to me sing. Contrast that to when I was older and, when I was a teenager, I was involved in a relationship with a certain person who I used to sing when I was happy. As I said, I'm not a good singer, but I just used to enjoy it. And I remember he turned around to me once and was like, never sing again. It sounds so bad. So do you see what I mean? If you're with a person who, or spending time with people who genuinely care about you, then even if your singing is bad, they're like, oh, it makes us so happy though. So let's just let us sing. Whereas people who are not aligned with you, I like, don't sing, it's so bad. So I had to remember how people used to treat me in my childhood to be like, that's not acceptable. So that's just an example of how this might come about, like the kind of things that you might recognise and might help you out going forwards. So yeah, that's everything. I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. I hope it was helpful. If you like kind of strange readings like this, then give me a like and I'll try and make some more of them. But thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.